Are you a fan of LeBron James? We thought everyone was, until we found out that despite being one of the legendary basketball players, he's also one of the most hated. Sure, some people like him, but he's also got haters, both on and off the court. So, in today's video, let's talk about the NBA players who don't like him very much. First off, let's talk about Stephen Curry. For years, many of us had the idea that James and Golden State Warriors star Steph were close. The two played against each other in the NBA Finals 4 times between the spring of 2015 and the summer of 2018. Out of which, it was thrice that we saw Curry's Warriors come out on top. And even though they probably trash-talked during the finals, LeBron congratulated the best three-point shooter after Game 4 of the 2018 Finals when the Warriors beat the Cavs. Also, we think that by the end of 2019, there was a high chance that these two didn't like each other at all. It was said that their rivalry wasn't friendly, and the fact that Curry sold more jerseys than James in the 2010s may have been a reason why the two athletes couldn't stand each other outside of the occasional handshake after a game. Up next, we've got Joakim Noah. During the best years of his career as a center, Noah learned a lot about what it was like to lose to LeBron James in the playoffs. And while there's no denying that losing makes people angry, there's more to this story than just that. During a game in late 2009, we heard they said some pretty mean things to each other. And then in the spring of 2010, Noah added to the bad things he had said about Cleveland, which James had made his home during his 2 stints with the Cavaliers. Now, that must have hit a nerve. After that, during a playoff game in 2015, Joakim said something to LeBron that made the King very angry. We don't know what exactly happened, but whatever it was, it made the superstar say that he doesn't mind going up against Joe, but he had no reason to be treated badly. Moving on to Draymond Green. Green was one of the dirtiest players in NBA history, and he didn't mind calling out the best player in the league more than once. After the Warriors won the NBA Finals in 2015, Green made fun of the Cavs with a series of insults that inspired hundreds of memes.
This ain't cut the same. I told one of them dudes from Cavs after the game, he tried to shake my hand. I said, Tristan, we ain't cut the same.
But James didn't just sit back and watch. In October 2016, he trolled the Warriors with a Halloween decoration that made fun of them for giving the Cavs a 3-1 lead in the championship series. Later, the Warriors got their revenge in 2017 when Green wore a t-shirt that made fun of the old name of Cleveland's home arena. In 2018, when the Warriors won the finals, LeBron posted an image of a clenched fist and captioned it "Mood." But his rival wasn't going to let him have the last word. Green wore a shirt with the same meme on it, but this time, the fist had 3 championship rings on. Now, that was pretty savage. Now, for Kevin Durant. In their 30s, the two players had a lot in common, even if neither of them wanted to admit it in the spring of 2020. Despite this, KD didn't have a lot of nice things to say about the legend in the late 2010s. In a 2018 article, Durant said that the attention the player got from local and national reporters made the atmosphere around him and his teams very toxic. We got to know later that James was so upset by what he said that KD felt he had to apologize to LeBron before that Christmas. Also, it's important to remember that the Nets player didn't sign with James and the Los Angeles Lakers as a free agent in 2019. Instead, Durant joined the other team, where he played with Kyrie Irving. Not to mention, Lance Stevenson is on the list. OMG, do you guys remember the time when Stevenson blew in James's ear during the 2014 Eastern Conference Finals? The star ball player had the last laugh, though, right after the hit, which was seen all over the world, and after the series, when he and the Heat won the right to play in that year's NBA Finals. That wasn't the first or last time these two got in trouble. During a game between the Indiana Pacers and the Miami Heat in the 2012 NBA playoffs, Stevenson made a choking motion toward James after the King missed a free throw. 6 years later, he took a shot at the legend in a veiled way during an interview after a playoff game where he told the interviewer that he was scared by no one. But it was funny when in July 2018, after LeBron signed with the Los Angeles Lakers, Stevenson did the same thing.
So I'm very excited and just can't wait till the season starts. I mean, going up against LeBron, you know.
Let's not forget to talk about Isaiah Thomas. To be fair, the small point guard probably never thought he'd play with the legendary basketball player when he got hurt during the 2017 Eastern Conference Finals with the Cleveland Cavaliers and had to leave the game early. He was an active player for the Cavs for about a month and made his Cleveland debut on January 2, 2018, playing in a total of 15 games with the team before being traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. Not long after the association made the trade official, we found out that the point guard had no love at all for LeBron.
It could have went south like it has been going, and we stayed together and just fought it out.
And he felt that the star talked down to him when they were teammates. And so it wasn't a big surprise that these two didn't get along. Coming up, we've got Deshaun Stevenson.
On the defensive end, Stevenson for 3, and there it is. There it is.
In March 2008, he was playing for the Washington Wizards when they beat the Cavaliers in a regular season game, and at that point, we're not sure why he thought it to be a good idea to poke the bear. He said some pretty mean things, to which James responded by giving an example of Jay-Z and Soulja Boy, saying that there's no point in even giving him a reply. No offense to Soulja Boy, but he never came close to being as famous as Jay-Z, who's widely thought to be one of the best rappers of all time. Still, their comments led to Soulja Boy showing up at a playoff game between Washington and Cleveland, and Jay-Z making a diss track about both the player and rapper. What's more, there's also Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce and LeBron James have one of the best rivalries on the court. The competition began during the player's rookie year, and they played each other in the playoffs more than once. Pierce was one of the few players in the 2000s who didn't always miss when he shot at the king. He beat him many times, once in 2008 and again in the playoffs of 2010, right before he left Cleveland for the Miami Heat. But even after Paul stopped playing, they still talked trash about each other. During the 2017 NBA Finals, Pierce, who worked for ESPN, labeled Kevin Durant and not James as the best player in the league.
10 plus rebounds. He may be the best player in the world today.
Today?
Today.
In fact, during Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, the two yelled at each other back and forth. And it didn't just stop there. It was reported in 2019 that they had almost gotten into a fight during a preseason game at Ohio State in 2004, which would have happened before the legend's second season in the NBA. Next, we've got Jimmy Butler. It's funny how sometimes two people's egos are so big that they can't even share a locker room or a basketball while they're playing. And we think that might have been a problem when Jimmy Butler made the Minnesota Timberwolves trade him in the fall of 2018.
Be honest with one another. If you didn't like the way that I handled myself in practice, one of the players come up to me. Somebody say something.
In the same year, we got to know that the player had wanted to join the Lakers before the 2018-19 season began, but that the Kings' arrival as the franchise's cornerstone made it less appealing for him. Eventually, Minnesota traded the player to the Philadelphia 76ers, where he stayed until joining the Miami Heat in the summer of 2019. During his time with the Chicago Bulls, Minnesota Timberwolves, and Philadelphia 76ers, Butler was known as a grumpy person, and after he was traded to Philly, there were comments about him ruining the Timberwolves season and maybe their future. And finally, let's talk about Kyrie Irving. Even though the two won a championship together, they didn't get along very well. Irving didn't like being second fiddle to James all the time or not getting enough credit for what he did for the team. He asked the Cavs to trade him because he didn't want to be seen as a sidekick anymore and wanted to run his team. But after that, things got worse when he made fun of the star player over and over during the offseason. Before the team gave in to his request, he was upset that one of James's friends was able to work for the team and travel with them, but he wasn't given the same chance. The Cavs didn't talk to Irving about leaving the team in June, so they didn't find out about any problems he had until it was too late. The player eventually apologized to LeBron for taking his former leader for granted, but he never thought about joining the legendary player in Los Angeles in the summer of 2019. That's a wrap for this video. Which rivalry did you think was the most heated? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.